Most people think banks exist to help you, a safe place for your money, a way to buy a house, a way to build your future. And honestly, that's exactly what banks want you to believe. Because the truth is very different. Banks don't become rich when you save money. They become rich when you borrow it. Every time you use a credit card, the bank makes money. Every time you finance a car, the bank makes money. Every time you take out a mortgage, the bank makes money. And if you miss a payment, they make even more. Now, obviously, borrowing money isn't always bad. Almost nobody can buy a house with cash. Most people need loans. That's normal. But over the last few decades, debt stopped being a tool and became a lifestyle. Today, millions of people wake up already owing money. Car payments, student loans, credit cards, mortgages, subscriptions, month after month after month. And most people never stop to ask one important question. If everyone is drowning in debt, who's making all the money? The answer is the system itself. Because modern banking was designed around one simple idea: keep money moving. The longer people stay in debt, the more profitable they become. Think about it like this. Imagine two people. The first person saves money carefully, never uses credit cards, avoids loans, pays everything in cash. The second person finances everything: new car, new iPhone, furniture, vacations, even clothes. Who do you think the bank prefers? The second person. Every single time. Because financially responsible people are actually less profitable. And that's the part most people never realize. Banks don't sell money, they sell access. Access to things you can't afford yet. And once people get used to borrowing, they rarely stop. That's why modern society pushes debt everywhere. Buy now, pay later. 0% financing. Small monthly payment. Everything is designed to make expensive things feel cheap. Because when people focus on the monthly payment, they stop looking at the total cost. And that's where the trap begins. A $40,000 car suddenly feels affordable, not because people became richer, but because the payment is spread across 7 years. And during those 7 years, the bank keeps collecting money every single month. Now multiply that by millions of people. That's how the system becomes enormous. In fact, banks make billions every year from interest alone, not from people becoming wealthy, but from people staying in debt longer. And here's the scary part. Most people think debt is normal now. They think having payments forever is just part of adult life. But decades ago, people viewed debt very differently. People avoided it whenever possible. Today, debt is everywhere. And the system depends on that. Because if everyone suddenly stopped borrowing money tomorrow, the entire economy would slow down. Car companies would panic. Banks would panic. Credit card companies would panic. Why? Because modern economies run on consumer debt, and the average person is stuck right in the middle of it, working every month just to pay bills from decisions they made years ago. That's why so many people feel financially trapped. Not because they're lazy, but because the system is designed to keep them paying forever, and the deeper people fall into debt, the harder it becomes to escape. Because eventually, most of their income no longer belongs to them, it belongs to the banks. And here's where things become dangerous. Because most people believe making more money will solve the problem. They think, if I can just earn more, everything will finally get easier. But for most people, the opposite happens. The more money they make, the more they spend. A bigger salary becomes a bigger apartment, a newer car, more subscriptions, more expensive vacations, better clothes, better restaurants. And slowly, their lifestyle grows faster than their income. This is called lifestyle inflation. And it's one of the biggest financial traps in modern society because people don't stay poor only because they earn too little. Many stay poor because every time they make more money, their expenses rise with it. Think about someone earning $3,000 a month. At first, they struggle, but then they get promoted. Now they earn $5,000. Sounds great, right? But suddenly, they move into a more expensive apartment. Their car payment increases, they start spending more online. Their lifestyle expands, and after a few months, they feel broke again. Not because they failed, but because the system constantly pushes people to upgrade their lives. Social media makes this even worse. Every day, people see luxury cars, perfect vacations, designer clothes, expensive lifestyles, and slowly the normal life starts feeling boring. People begin spending money not to survive but to feel successful. That's why so many people today look rich while secretly drowning in debt. The expensive car, financed, the luxury apartment, rented, the designer lifestyle, paid for with credit cards. Modern society rewards the appearance of wealth more than actual financial freedom, and banks love that because the more people try to look successful, the more money they borrow, and the deeper they fall into the system. And this is where wealthy people think differently, because rich people don't use money the same way everyone else does. Most people work for money, but wealthy people make money work for them. The average person buys things that lose value: cars, clothes, expensive gadgets, luxury lifestyles. But rich people focus on buying assets, things that make them more money over time: businesses, stocks, real estate, investments. That's one of the biggest differences between looking rich and actually becoming rich. Most middle-class families spend their lives buying liabilities, things that constantly take money away from them: a financed car, a giant mortgage, luxury purchases, monthly subscriptions. And slowly, their income disappears every month just maintaining their lifestyle. Rich people think differently. Instead of asking, "What can I buy?" they ask, "What can make me money?" And that mindset changes everything. Because wealthy people understand something most people never learn. Financial freedom doesn't come from earning more money. It comes from owning things that generate income. That's why many wealthy people don't rely only on salaries. Because salaries have limits. You can only work so many hours. But assets can make money even while you sleep. Think about real estate. A normal person buys a house to live in. A wealthy person buys property that other people pay rent for. The average person works every month to pay bills. The wealthy person owns assets that pay them every month instead. And over time, that difference becomes enormous. This is why some people stay trapped financially, while others slowly build freedom. Because poor and middle-class people often spend first and invest later, if they invest at all. But wealthy people usually do the opposite. They invest first and spend what's left over. That's also why rich people care less about looking wealthy. Many millionaires don't drive supercars, don't wear designer clothes, don't try to impress strangers online. Because real wealth is often invisible, and that's something social media rarely shows people. Most luxury lifestyles online are designed to attract attention, not build freedom. In fact, many people who look wealthy online are deeply in debt, while truly wealthy people are focused on ownership. Ownership of businesses, ownership of investments, ownership of assets. Because once you own assets, you stop depending completely on your paycheck. And that's when the system starts losing control over you. Because the less you depend on debt, the harder you become to profit from. And banks know that. That's why financial education is so powerful. Because once people understand how money actually works, they stop playing the game the same way. So the real question is, how do you escape? Because the system is not going to stop. Banks will keep offering credit. Companies will keep selling upgrades. Social media will keep showing perfect lifestyles. And the world will keep telling you that spending money means you're successful. But escaping the trap starts with one simple decision. Stop trying to look rich, because looking rich is one of the fastest ways to stay broke. The expensive car doesn't make you free. The designer clothes don't make you wealthy. The luxury apartment doesn't mean you own anything. Most of the time, it only means your monthly payments are higher. And once you understand that, everything changes, because financial freedom is not about impressing people. It's about having options, the option to say no, the option to leave a job you hate, the option to sleep at night without worrying about bills, the option to own your time. That's what real wealth is. Not attention, not status, not pretending. Freedom. But freedom is built slowly. It starts by controlling the money that leaves your life. Because most people focus only on making more money, but they never control where the money goes. So every raise disappears, every bonus disappears, every extra dollar finds a new place to go. That's why the first step is not becoming rich. The first step is becoming aware. Aware of your payments, aware of your habits, aware of the things you buy only to impress others. Because once you see the pattern, you can break it. You don't need to become perfect overnight. You just need to stop making the system stronger every month. Pay off bad debt. Avoid unnecessary loans. Stop upgrading your lifestyle every time your income grows. Build an emergency fund. Learn how investing works. Buy assets before liabilities. And most importantly, stop confusing income with wealth, because income is what you earn, but wealth is what you keep. And if every dollar you earn immediately goes to banks, cars, credit cards, rent, and lifestyle, then you're not building wealth. You're just passing money through your hands. The goal is not to hate banks. The goal is to understand the game. Because banks are not evil for making money. That's their business. But if you don't understand how the system works, you become the product. Your debt becomes their income. Your payments become their profit. Your lifestyle becomes their business model. But the moment you start thinking differently, the system loses power. When you stop borrowing for things you don't need, you become harder to control. When you stop buying things to impress people you don't even know, you become harder to sell to. When you start owning assets instead of only owning bills, you start moving in the opposite direction. And that's how people escape. Not all at once, not overnight, but one decision at a time, one payment at a time, one habit at a time, until eventually, your money starts working for you, instead of you working forever for everyone else. And that's the real difference. Most people spend their lives trying to look wealthy, but the people who actually become wealthy quietly build freedom. And once you understand that, you stop playing the game the way the system wants you to. The system doesn't need you to understand money. It only needs you to keep borrowing, to keep upgrading, to keep chasing a lifestyle that was never really yours. Because as long as you stay in debt, someone else keeps getting paid. But once you understand the game, everything changes. You stop seeing debt as normal. You stop seeing payments as freedom. And you stop confusing looking rich with actually becoming free. Because real wealth is not about how expensive your life looks, it's about how much of your life you actually control. And the moment your money starts working for you instead of against you, that's when you begin to escape, not from banks, not from money, but from the version of life the system wanted you to accept.